You're talking about prosecutorial advice in terms of a docket. What I can't say now is whether the docket went to a prosecutor before the time or not. And if it did, yes, that prosecutor can have access to guidance.
I'm just talking generally.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So, but she could have contacted the prosecutor as well.
Yes.
So she didn't have to contact someone else.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Then if we can go back to your statement, page 4, the investigation, that's the heading.
In June paragraph 10. In June 2022, after the meeting with the Colonel, I wanted to interview Mr. Bateman regarding the email he sent on the 3rd of July 2018. I contacted Mr. Andrew Leesk of AfriForum because Mr. Bateman was now employed at AfriForum as a media manager. Captain McLean and I interviewed Mr. Bateman in the presence of Mr. Leesk and Advocate Gerrie Nel, also of AfriForum. Mr. Bateman informed us that he received the email attachments on the 3rd of July 2018 via WhatsApp from a source that he was not willing to disclose. Mr. Bateman said that Advocate Andrea Johnson, who at the time was a senior public prosecutor in the National Prosecuting Authority, requested the information from him, being the A1 statement J88 and audio file, and he complied with the request on the same day. I could not remember why Advocate Johnson requested the information.
He could not.
Sorry, he could not remember. Paragraph 11. Mr. Bateman also stated that he had a very good relationship with Advocate Johnson going back to 2011.
Colonel, your voice is tapering
Sorry.
again. Just raise it. Please listen to your wife's advice.
Sorry, wife. Mr. Bateman also stated that he had a very good relationship with Advocate Johnson going back to 2011. He saw nothing untoward about Johnson's request. Mr. Bateman was requested to provide a statement regarding the matter. Despite numerous follow-ups prior to my retirement in 2025, January, for the statement, I was informed that he only provided the statement to Captain McLean in June 2026, 4 years after we met with him and requested the statement.
Thank you, Colonel. Can we then go to the exhibit bundle and go to page 45? And I just have a few questions for you regarding the interview with Mr. Bateman. 45, it says BB1. It is an attachment to Mr. Bateman's statement that he provided to Captain McLean this year, but I just want to deal with the attachment to that, which is the WhatsApp that he received from his source with the information, correct?
I'm sorry, just repeat, who is it from and to whom?
The BB1 is what Mr. Bateman indicated is the WhatsApp conversation where he received the information from the source that he eventually sent to Advocate Andrea Johnson.
That's correct, Commissioners.
And the first, you see it's on the 3rd of July 2018 at 11:08. The source sends the audio clip. And his message, Mr. Bateman's message is, what's this about? I make out a General Khan and Brig Petle. And then the next message is from the source, an incident between them. He allegedly also assaulted her with a pen. Case was opened, assault and intimidation. And Mr. Bateman then asks, when did this take place? The source says a week ago. And then Mr. Bateman says, how assault with a pen? And then you can see that on the left, the attachments are being sent, the same attachments that we looked at earlier, which is the A1 statement.
That is correct, Commissioners.
Now, can I just understand, so we're now in 2022 when you meet with Mr. Bateman, Mr. Liesk, is it Liesk?
Liesk, yes.
And Advocate Gerrie now of AfriForum.
Lately, seems your career depends on how fast you adopt AI. Want to know my secret? It's simple. I work in ClickUp. Your team projects, messages, and files are kept in one workspace. So the work is visible and the priorities are clear. And ClickUp AI has 100% context of your work. So it's an expert for your company and your workflows. When your workspace is this smart, you don't have to work harder to get ahead.
I saw him. He did not deny that he provided the documentation and the WhatsApps. What he couldn't remember at that time is why it was asked of him. But he confirmed it was asked by Advocate Johnson, but he couldn't remember as to why it was asked from him. He is explaining it in the sense that, we are in communication regularly, so it might be just he was giving her information, she was giving him information from what I understood. So it might be in that context. He can't specifically remember why she asked him. But she was specific in terms of what she asked him, because otherwise he wouldn't have provided this.
Yes, if you just look at page 46 of the bundle, because then I just want to, if you look at page 46, this is the email that he sends to her later that evening, 3 July 2018 at 18:05. So he sends it to her, 6 hours, 7 hours later. He receives it that same day. So when you engage him, did he explain whether he already had the information and she knew he had the information, or whether she asked him to get the information and he then got it? Because it can't be a coincidence that she requests it on the very day that he receives it from a source.
Now, the impression that I had during the whole conversation is that, she specifically requested this docket. He wouldn't have known giving it to her if it wasn't requested.
Yes.
Which is, as far as I'm concerned, a logical answer from his point of view.
Yes, her request, yes, but how would she know that he had it and had received it that same day that she requests it from him?
From what I understood, she requested him to see if he can get it.
Okay.
So he was supposed to source the documents and then provide it to her.
So he initiates her request and asks his source to get it.
That is what I understood. Yes, that is correct, Commissioners.
That would seem to be in line, because any other scenario wouldn't make sense. It would just be a happy coincidence for her to ask it on the same day that he has it without even knowing that he had it. She would have to have known that he had it to request it, or, as you say, the impression you had was that she requested him to obtain it for her.
Yeah, I think one should also take into account that between the request on the same day, which was in the morning, it was only sent in the afternoon late, which suggests to me that it took some time for him to source the documents.
Yes, but it would seem that on page 45, by 12 o'clock, at least, he already has it, because the attachments start coming in at 11:24.
That is correct.
Yes.
Commissioners.
And he gets the audio recording at 11:08. So if it was an instance where she requested it from him to obtain it, so he didn't have it at the time that she made the request and she wanted him to get it for her, then I suppose he gets it, and we don't know what informs his decision to only send it later that evening, because he only sends it at 6 in the evening to her.
That is my sense when I had an interview with him in terms of what happened.
Okay, but he didn't specifically give you the information about how the request came about, whether it was her asking him to get it for her or whether she knew that he already had it and asked to just send it to her.
No, Commissioners, as far as I'm concerned, he was quite clear on that. He was asked to source the documents.
Okay.
Because he wouldn't have otherwise. I do not see a scenario where he would volunteer information like that to her.
Mr. Mube, because we have Mr. Bateman's statement, I think you should put on record what he says about this topic. And I know you've had the discussion with the Colonel and you have an account from his interview of Mr. Bateman, but I think in fairness to Mr. Bateman and for completeness of your discussion, you should put what he says. So it seems he deals with it from paragraph 5, maybe, and then
On page
6 and 7.
Yes. Commissioner Baloyi, the reason why I'm asking the Colonel is because that interview happens in 2022 and the statement is in 2026. So I just wanted to know, when he had the conversation in 2022, what was his version as to the request? Because in 2026, Colonel Rulofse wasn't around when the statement was taken. That was Captain McLean.
I understand that, but because we do have the statement on this very topic that you're canvassing, I think it should be put to you.
So if you go to page 40 of the bundle, that's Mr. Bateman's statement, which he deposed to in June 2026. And at paragraph 5, he says, in July 2018, a voice recording and pictures of an affidavit deposed to by Brigadier Petle of the South African Police Services was sent to me. The recording was of a conversation between SAP's Major General Feroz Khan and Petle. 6, I received the information from a source whose identity I cannot reveal. I attach here to a redacted screenshot of the message. 7, I don't have any recollection of the circumstances that led me to send the recording and documents to Johnson. However, I can only infer that it was following a discussion and in response to a request from Johnson. I received the information and sent it to Johnson on the same day, 3 July 2018.
Commissioners, it is more or less in line in terms of what was said to me. I think this is now 4 years later. I think he probably couldn't remember all the detail that he gave to us when we had the conversation with him in 2022. So, but it is in line, and that is how I understood it as to what had happened. There was a request, and based on the request, he would have provided the information.
Thank you. We can go back to your statement. At paragraph 12, page 5.
In August 2022, I received a statement from the Colonel setting out the events on the 4th of July 2018. At this stage, Advocate Johnson was the head of Idac, where I was placed even though I was attached to the DPCI. I could not approach Advocate Johnson given the allegations of interference and defeating the ends of justice. At this stage, Captain McLean had also ascertained that the NPA decided on 15 December 2021 already not to prosecute the assault and intimidation docket. And the docket had been withdrawn from the CAS system on the 13th of January 2022.
Colonel, what does it mean the docket had been withdrawn from the CAS system?
It actually should read closed, Commissioner. What we have a cash administration system, which is an administration system for our dockets. So when the case docket is opened, it would be registered on the cash system. So at the end of an investigation, whether it is unfounded, whether a warrant of arrest was issued, you will then close the docket and it will be closed on the cash system. As in, I think in this specific case, it was a nolli prosequi, if I'm not mistaken. So the docket would have been closed on the cash system as a nolli prosequi. But as I said, I don't have the docket in front of me, so I'm not sure exactly as what it was closed. But then it get archived. So that is in essence what happened. So there won't be any further queries on the administration system, bring forward dates and that kind of thing. But the docket will show that it's been archived, and you can go and find the docket there.
So it doesn't mean, because that's how I had read it, because I don't know your systems. So when you say withdrawn from the cash system, I had read it to mean it had been deleted from the systems. You wouldn't find it.
It cannot be deleted.
Okay.
There will always be an audit trail.
Okay.
So you can't delete that.
Thank you.
Okay, page 5, paragraph 13 of your statement, Advocate Johnson's knowledge of the allegations against her.
I decided to approach the national head of the DPCI, Lieutenant General Labia, for assistance because of the circumstances that I found myself in. I met General Labia in the last week of August 2022, but I do not recall the exact date. I informed him of the allegations contained in the Colonel's statement and furnished him with a copy of the Colonel's statement. I told General Labia that we needed the NPA to assign a senior prosecutor to the matter. I expected General Labia to request the NPA head, at the time Advocate Shamila Batoy, for a senior prosecutor to be assigned to the case. I could not take the matter to a lower court due to Advocate Johnson's position as head of Idac. Advocate Johnson's position also placed me in a precarious position because I had been placed at Idac in Advocate Johnson's office as part of a duty arrangements between the DPCI and Idac. Paragraph 14. On 7 September 2022, Advocate Johnson approached me at work. I was still at Idac at the time and asked me to see her in her office. She told me that she had been called by Advocate Batoy's office, who informed her of the Colonel's affidavit and the allegations against her, Advocate Johnson, contained therein. Advocate Johnson told me the name of the Colonel who deposed to the affidavit. I found it extremely concerning that Advocate Batoy would have told Advocate Johnson about a protected disclosure implicating her, Advocate Johnson, in wrongdoing. I also thought that perhaps Advocate Johnson was able to figure out the identity of the Colonel without Advocate Batoy informing her thereof. But then Advocate Johnson to continue to reveal that she knew the Colonel's affidavit was commissioned by Colonel Wittendahl, and she relayed information contained in the Colonel's affidavit. She then told me that she read the Colonel's affidavit and that she denied any wrongdoing. Paragraph 15. She also informed me that she spoke to Mr. Bateman before meeting with me and told Mr. Bateman not to worry. She also said that she understood the reason I approached General Labia. By this I understood Advocate Johnson to mean that given that the allegations implicate her, she understood why I did not deal with the incident within Idac, but instead went to the head of the DPCI. Paragraph 16. When Advocate Johnson approached me on the 7th of September 2022, I already knew that she had spoken to Bateman. I can just say here that I didn't tell her that I knew that she'd spoken to Bateman. Because Mr. Leesk told me that Bateman had informed Mr. Gerenel of the conversation between him, Bateman, and Advocate Johnson. Mr. Leesk did not give me the details of what was discussed between Mr. Bateman and Advocate Johnson. I do not recall the exact date when he would have informed me me of the call, but from my WhatsApp exchanges with Mr. Leek on 5 and 6 September, I think it would have been on the 6th of September 2022. Paragraph 17. During our investigation, I was able to confirm that General Labia met with Advocate Betoy on the 2nd of September 2022. That was confirmation for me that General Labia gave the Colonel's affidavit to Advocate Betoy, which I did not take issue with, since my reason for approaching General Labia was for assistance with the appointment of a senior prosecutor. To my knowledge, the only people who had sight of the Colonel's affidavit when I met with General Labia were the Colonel, Captain McLean, General Labia, and me. Advocate Betoy is the only person I can think of who would have shown or given the Colonel's affidavit to Advocate Johnson after General Labia gave it to her at the meeting on September 2nd of September 2022. I do not believe that General Labia shared or showed the Colonel's affidavit to. I do not believe that General Labia showed or shared the Colonel's affidavit with Advocate Johnson. The irony of the situation was not lost on me. Advocate Betoy, by sharing the Colonel's statement with Advocate Johnson, did the same thing Advocate Johnson had done by sharing Brigadier Petley's criminal complaint against General Khan with him. Paragraph 18.
Sorry, before you proceed, Colonel, in this discussion with Advocate Johnson, did you ask and did she say why it was that she forwarded the documents to General Khan? Did she say anything about that?
Commissioner, she said nothing. I would have expected under the circumstances, if she was given access to the affidavit of the complainant, of the Colonel, that I would have expected, that was my expectation. Firstly, I didn't expect it would have been given to her, but now it has been given to her. She had access to it. I would have expected the following reaction. Where can I sign the affidavit? Because this was done, I was duped by providing this information to him. I understand the problem, and I think I need to provide you with an affidavit to further your investigation. That is what I expected, because to me that would have been the right thing to do. But she did not touch on why she asked for it. She did not try to explain the situation. She just said to me, and I think it's quoted here somewhere, I didn't do anything wrong. And that is the extent of what she said. And apart from that, she was telling me about, she spoke to Bateman. She's now speaking to me. We both are witnesses in this matter. After that conversation with Bateman, it took us 4 years to eventually get Bateman's statement. So from where I sat, that call did in fact play a role in him not finalizing his affidavit. And it's a very subtle way to tell someone not to assist in an investigation. I mean, a mere fact, in one of the WhatsApps, she tells him, I'm giving you a heads up that the Hawks will come and talk to you. I mean, you don't do that. That's not your function to do that kind of thing. So I had a huge problem with the situation as it was. I've been fighting with the NPA, as I said, since 2011. So I've been through this process. I know that when the NPA is not going to prosecute or do not want to have a look at the docket or at the situation, they will not. So it took the matter that I was with, the Madlanga matter, it took it about 12 years to get into court. So I knew at that point in time when I had this discussion with her that we are very limited in terms of what we can do from now on, because I'm not going to risk the Colonel's career and life by continuing a situation that I now know for sure the NPA is not going to do anything about. So that is the position that I found myself in, and I was very upset by it. So, but it happens within our environment at times, so you have to deal with it.
When she says, I did nothing wrong, when she says that to you, did you understand her to say, by forwarding these documents to General Khan, she did not consider that to be anything wrong about it? Was that your understanding of her?
That was my understanding from the comment she made.
Yes.
So there was no explanation as to why. Because on the face of it, there cannot be, and that's my interpretation, there cannot be a good explanation as to why you did it, except if you didn't know and you were duped. And then I expect the other reaction, which I described earlier. Where can I sign the affidavit? Because I was put in a position where I was not supposed to be put in. And you get that normally with a lot of these cases that you investigate, had I known that scenario. So if she had known, then she would not offer.
Staying on top of the core concepts of sustainable investing can add value to your clients, your team, and your organization. Confidently communicate with stakeholders, build technical fluency in assessing climate-related risks and opportunities, and learn how sustainability factors affect investment performance. Start today to gain the insights and skills you need wherever you are on your sustainable investing journey. CFA Institute. Set the standard.
I'm well aware of how important it is not to prematurely release the name of a witness. It puts the investigation into jeopardy, and more importantly, it has the potential to put the life of the witness in danger. This is amplified in this specific situation because General Khan and the Colonel were both working at Climate Intelligence in the same office at the time. As stated earlier, before my meeting with Advocate Johnson, I had already been informed that Advocate Johnson had spoken to Mr. Bateman about the Colonel's affidavit. My interaction with Mr. Leeks on 5 and 6 September is set out below, and I have provided the Commission with the screenshots of the exchange as well. Mr. Leeks told me that Mr. Bateman sent a WhatsApp message to Advocate Gerrie Nel after his conversation with Advocate Johnson on 5 September. I quote the conversation between Mr. Leeks and me below, as well as the forwarded messages with my translation from Afrikaans to English where necessary.
Thank you, Colonel. If you can just pause here, Commissioners, the conversation appears on page 49, the screenshot, and the Colonel had apologized for the quality thereof. He needed his daughter to assist him with taking the screenshot. So it's on page 49, and you will see there. That is between you and Mr. Leesk on
That is correct, Commission. That is between myself and Mr. Leesk.
You may proceed, Colonel. You don't have to read the date and time in. We are looking at the screenshot, so you can just read the translation, perhaps, from Mr. Leesk.
The translation from the affidavit.
Yes.
It says, Icobus, we need to talk, which is on the 5th. And on the 6th, there's a missed call from Mr. Leesk. And also on...
I think you're now at paragraph 20, so there's the missed call, and then you explain what happened after there, because there's a gap between the missed call and the next message. So you can just go to your statement, paragraph 20.
Paragraph 20, although I do not have a clear recollection at this stage, clear recollection. At this stage, Mr. Leesk and I must have had a telephonic conversation about the matter. I recall I was in Cape Town between 2 and 6 September 2022 and flew back to Gauteng on the 6th of September 2022. It would have been in the afternoon. I think it was during this call on either the evening of 5 September or 6 September 2022 that Mr. Leeks informed me of the conversation between Mr. Bateman and Advocate Johnson. I say so because after Mr. Leeks requested us to talk, he missed his missed call. The next message is from me asking which number was used, referring to the number that Advocate Johnson used to contact Mr. Bateman. During this call, Mr. Leeks told me that Advocate Johnson contacted Mr. Bateman to assure him not to worry. I remember asking Mr. Leeks to tell Mr. Bateman to immediately make a note of what he could remember and was discussed with Advocate Johnson. The WhatsApp exchanges continue below. At 14:25, I asked which number was used. Mr. Leeks responded. I'll read the English version. BB says he got a call on WhatsApp and she said he must go to Signal. I don't know which one she used, but it was to her number. And then it says, it gives a number and it says, I'll find out. Then I send him a thumbs up.
If we can just then go to that message where that references that Mr. Bateman said that he got a call on WhatsApp and she said he must go to Signal on page 58 of the exhibit bundle. If you can just explain to us what we're looking at on page 58.
This is a screenshot or a photo that I took of, I think it's Mr. Bateman's phone, with the request by Advocate Johnson to go to Signal.
The request from Advocate Johnson to Mr. Bateman
To
on
Mr. Bateman.
the 5th of September.
That is correct. That's correct, Commissioners. I can also inform the Commission that on various occasions, Advocate Johnson was not only stating to me but to the office as well, you need to use Signal because WhatsApp is not as secure as you think, and she prefers to use Signal because it's much more secure. So I presume that's the reason why he was asked to go to Signal.
And this was the call on the 5th of September, which you knew about already when Advocate Johnson approached you on the 7th of September.
That is correct, Commissioners.
Okay. So we can go back to your statement at paragraph 21.
Mr. Leeks and I arranged to meet to discuss the matter further. He sent me his location because the location was different to where I had met him and Mr. Bateman, Advocate Nell, at the first time. And then it just shows a map that was sent to me.
And then paragraph 22.
If I recall correctly, on 7 September 22, I would have met Mr. Leeks after my meeting with Advocate Johnson. I do recall that Mr. Leeks sent the WhatsApp exchange between Bateman and Advocate Johnson and Advocate Nell before I went to meet him. I know that I did not have the WhatsApp exchange between Mr. Bateman and Advocate Nell when I met Advocate Johnson, which means that Mr. Leeks forwarded the exchange to me after my meeting with Advocate Johnson, but before my meeting with him. Paragraph 23, page 10. Mr. Leeks forwarded the WhatsApp messages from Mr. Bateman to Advocate Gerinel on 5 September 2022 to me. These messages are quoted below.
if we could go to page 51 of the exhibit bundle. So this is what Mr. Lees forwards to you, which is a conversation, which is messages that Mr. Bateman sends to Advocate Nell after he gets the call from Advocate Johnson on the 5th of September.
That is correct, Commissioners, after his discussion with her.
Okay, if you can then just read from the forwarded, sorry. 51.
Must I read from the actual
Yes, I think it's
document?
easier, yeah.
Okay.
I'll just remind you that there is redaction, so I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay, it starts as follows. Sorry to hassle you, Mr. Nell. Andrea just called me. Called to say she was called into a meeting with the NDPP. Libya had approached the NDPP last week with information.
Then you don't have to read the next part. You can start again by, she has provided statement.
She has provided statement about an email that I apparently sent in 2018, something about requesting information. Unclear. Andrea not worried. She says there's nothing that she did, that she said to me or communicated that she could not repeat.
Elsewhere on the next page, 53.
In the middle of the page, it continues that she could not repeat elsewhere. Referred to issues between Khan and Petle, said I often approach her about media issues and questions. Told the NDPP she is not interested in seeing the statement. Next page, saying that if there is to be an investigation, they must investigate. Just wanted to give me the heads up in case the Hawks came asking. Next page. Came asking questions. She says Kobus was approached with the statement and he works for her, so he had no choice to approach Libya.
By Kobus, that is you.
That is me, yes, Commissioners. Reiterated that as he is not concerned, reiterated, I presume she is not concerned. She has work to do and will get on with what she has to do. Says
Next page.
Says there is something. If there is something to explain, she will. Told me not to be worried. And then there's another photo of the phone itself.
With the message to go to where the request is, are you on signal?
That's correct, Commissioners.
And this Mr. Lees forwards to you before you met with him.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioners.
Then if we go back to your statement at paragraph 24 on page 11.
While I was in the meeting with Mr. Lees, I took a screenshot of his phone containing the messages from Advocate Johnson to Mr. Bateman on 5 September 2022, where she asked him if he was on signal. Paragraph 25.
Conclusion.
I do not know as a fact that General Libya gave the Colonel's affidavit to Advocate Bateman. However, Advocate
Batoy.
Advocate Batoy. However, Advocate Johnson told me that Advocate Batoy showed her the Colonel's affidavit when I met, in brackets, when I met with her on the 7th of September 2022. In Mr. Bateman's WhatsApp messages to Advocate Nell on 5 September 2022, he said that Advocate Johnson told him that Advocate Batoy approached her about the Colonel's affidavit. He says that Advocate Johnson told him she was not interested in seeing the statement. Mr. Bateman also mentioned in his WhatsApp messages to Advocate Nell and Advocate Johnson that that's
Told
me,
him that I have no choice.
no choice but to approach General Labia. This confirms to me that General Labia met Advocate Petoy and gave her the Colonel's affidavit. And thereafter, Advocate Petoy either showed or gave the Colonel's statement to Advocate Johnson. There is a part in one of the messages, and I don't recall reading it, in which Bateman, as part of his WhatsApp messages, says there's an issue between Khan and Petley. Now, that information could have only come from the affidavit itself, from the
Yes, it is there. You did read it.
Oh, I did, sorry. So if I did read it, I'm sorry. But that information was in the affidavit.
Yes, it's
So
on
if
page
you had-
53 of the screenshots.
If you have access to the affidavit, you would have known that kind of detail.
You may continue. Paragraph 26.
On 31 January 2025, I retired from the South African Police Service. At that stage, we were unable to secure the appointment of a prosecutor to consider both Brigadier Petley's criminal complaint against General Khan and the allegations against Advocate Johnson of what I considered to be defeating the ends of justice. When I retired, the docket was assigned to Captain McLean, who had worked with me on the case from the start and to whom I report regularly on my interactions with role players where he had not accompanied me. I think it's important for the Commission to hear from Captain McLean and the Colonel as well, because they will corroborate my version, especially regarding what I reported to Captain McLean contemporaneously. It may be important corroboration if those implicated them to rewrite history. And then paragraph 28, I hope that my testimony will assist the Commission in its important work.
Thank you, Commissioners. That's the evidence of the Colonel.
Colonel, when you met with Advocate Johnson on the 7th of September, did you mention to her, or did you get the impression, if you did, that she knew that this was a protected disclosure?
Commissioner, I can't answer the question because she did not allude to anything like that. But what I do know, if she had access to the affidavit, which I believe she did, she would have seen it. It would have been in. It was a protected disclosure based on the facts in the affidavit itself.
Based on the facts, you mean the nature of the allegation?
The nature of the allegation, where she worked, the fact that she could be intimidated, the fact that the guy was a superior officer. So those are the things, if you look at the act itself, those are the kind of things that you look out for when it is a protected disclosure.
Thank you.
Colonel, I prefer the Afrikaans because I'm a Rauki.
And I do not prefer the rank because, quite
my
frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the ranks within the police.
The English and the Australians prefer Colonel.
Yes.
In paragraph 12 of your statement, you seem to be suggesting that what Advocate Johnson did amounts to interference with investigation and defeating the ends of justice. What is it about her conduct constitutes, according to you, interference with investigation and defeating the ends of justice?
Well, this Commissioners, there's more than two issues, but the ones that comes to mind is the fact that she would warn a suspect before the time of, and provide the statement before that person is entitled to the statement, the suspect is entitled. And as a prosecutor, she must know that. The second thing is calling the witnesses and calling me in and calling Bateman. That to me is another huge red flag, because she is, as far as I'm concerned, the implicated person. She did not deny that she was duped by Khan. She did not say that had I known this was the issue. So that never happened. So as far as I'm concerned, when I was in there and that happened, that is why I'm saying this, that it was done deliberately. There's more than two things. It's also the effect of a call from someone of her stature to a witness saying to him, I'm giving you a heads up, the Hawks is going to come and talk to you. That to me is also not on. And then the second thing is to imply you don't have anything to worry about, sort of trying to comfort the guy. But why make the call in the first place? Because you're telling him, actually, you've got something to worry about. So make sure that you say the right thing. That is my inference from the situation itself. Because we don't do things like this when we investigate matters. As an investigating officer, I don't do things like this. So I expect more from a prosecutor when it comes to this kind of action.
And then the documents that she would have obtained from Mr. Bateman, I understand that Mr. Bateman at the time was a journalist.
That is correct.
So is it not fair then to say the documents or the docket or its contents were already in the public domain because the journalist already was in possession of them? Even the journalist himself could have given them to General Khan.
I understand the question, but But the docket or the information in the docket is not supposed to be in the public domain.
Sometimes we feel guilty. We can only do so much. That's why more and more pet parents rely on Hills, with scientifically proven formulas to give more love than humanly possible. Because you're only human, there's Hills. Science does more.
And the documents are handed up. Then it is public domain. But at that point in time, it's not in the public domain. The fact that you have a source who gave you the documents does not make it in the public domain, not as far as I'm concerned when it comes to a reporter. You can't circumvent the process just because the source gave you the information.
So in short, you say even Mr. Bateman was not properly in possession of the docket, and Ms. Johnson should have known that when she received it from him, and she should not have shared it with the with the suspect in the assault complaint.
That is correct, Commissioners. And I think what takes it further for me is the fact that she requested that private emails being used, because it was done on her Gmail account. She asked the Colonel to go to her Gmail account, and she also asked the Colonel to delete the emails when it was done. So those things, if it was an above board conversation, you would use your NPA email account. You would request the documents because you are actually entitled to request documents in her position. But if you want to put a layer between yourself and the request, that is when you go off the grid and you do it that way. She had access to her official email. She did not have to use her Gmail address and did not have to ask the witness to destroy or to delete the emails. So those are the things that is what made it to, that is what informed me of what she did, and in terms of this specific issue.
Thank you.
On the face of it, subject to an explanation by Advocate Johnson, there appears to be impropriety. Just making a comment.
That is correct, Commissioner. There appears to be, and I think to me, and once again, it's my opinion. Once again, if there wasn't any impropriety, she would have told me on the 7th. She would have volunteered information saying that I was duped. It might not look good, but it is an explanation, and we could have actually gone after General Khan because what she is allegedly guilty of, he's also allegedly guilty of because he sourced the documents from her.
Thank you. Ms. Sigels-Ncube, is there a reason why we did not listen to the audio that came with the email?
Chair, we thought that we would play it when
witness N, is it? Is
witness O.
Oh.
Yes, it's in the incorrect order. Yes, Chair.
Oh, all right.
Or even
all right.
Captain McLean comes because he was the investigator.
But are there issues of confidentiality with regard to it? Why should it not? Why should the public not?
No, there isn't, Chair. We will play it. The witness,
in that case, should we not play it here, or will it be played when?
Chair, Captain McLean comes because he's the current investigating officer.
All right. No, that's fine. That's fine. I was just concerned if we played outside of this.
No, we won't.
This forum.
In this forum, Chair.
All right. All right.
Colonel, at the end of paragraph 17, you read what you describe as the irony in the conduct of Advocate Batoyi vis-a-vis Advocate Johnson, that very last part of paragraph 17. Do you, in so many words, consider the conduct of Advocate Batoyi to have been inappropriate in the same way as well? I just want to be clear what it is you're saying about it.
I do not know. I wasn't privy to the conversation between her and Advocate Johnson or between her and General Labia. But if she's read the affidavit that was given to her, and I'm talking about Advocate Batoyi, she would have realized that what she is doing then by showing that affidavit to Advocate Johnson, that is exactly the same that Johnson did with Khan. So I would have expected her to understand the situation, because what I would have expected from her is to appoint a prosecutor, and if she wanted to, institute disciplinary proceedings. That is what I would expect in the circumstances like this. But that didn't happen. So I was never contacted by a prosecutor. So as far as I'm concerned, there was never a prosecutor appointed. And there was no disciplinary proceedings after that as well. I was not contacted by the NPA for disciplinary proceedings. I mean, if you have an affidavit like that in front of you, you have to take some action. So, and the same applies to an explanation. If an explanation was given to her, I was duped. I didn't know what this guy was going to do with this. Then it is the same explanation that I expected her to give me, but it wasn't given to me. So I'm not sure what took place between the two of them, but I am sure that she should have seen the circumstances in respect of the affidavit of the colonel vis-a-vis the circumstances of the affidavit given to General Khan.
I guess what I'm trying to get in very clear words so that there is no confusion about this is, in respect of Advocate Johnson's conduct to General Khan, as it relates to General Khan, you unequivocally say there was interference with an active investigation. And what I'm seeking to clarify with you is, do you similarly express the same view about Advocate Batoyi speaking to Advocate Johnson about this investigation that you are now conducting into her behavior? Do you consider that to have been an interference in an investigation or not?
Commissioner, it's a difficult question to answer because as I was not there, so I do not know her intent. So I only can deduce from the actions what the intent was, and I'm not sure that the intent was to derail the investigation. But if you look at what happened afterwards, the fact that no one was appointed, no disciplinary action was taken, and sharing this document, because she must have realized this is exactly the same situation that Advocate Johnson is finding herself in. So under those circumstances, I have no doubt that, let me classify it, she made exactly the same mistake, if you want to call it a mistake, because it's not a mistake, as Advocate Johnson did by her actions.
Thank you.
We're done with the
Maybe excuse.
Yes, Chair.
Yes. Thank you very much, Colonel.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Let's adjourn and resume at 11:45.